Everybody, welcome back to Distrum Creations Motorcycle. Today I have the Sportster 72. I think it's a 2015. It has a small oil leak that's coming from one of the bottom tubes. Now this is a common thing on Harley-Davidsons for leaks. These tubes get hot, cold, and then they start to burn out or they start to kind of get mushy. You have to check these every once in a while because this is actually the drainage tube. It's not like a regular street bike or quad or dirt bike. This drains out of a tube because the oil fill tank is above, not in the bottom of the crankcase. Totally different system, but I'm going to show you where it's at. I'm going to show you the tube that we're taking off, the replacement, and how to put it on. Quick, easy video, but if you don't do it and you don't maintain it, this drips down, gets on your back tire, you're going for a spill. So let's make sure to ride safe, and let's get to work. So this, you can see the tube that's taped up right here. This is the one that it had a very small crack in it that was leaking, and we taped it up just to get it over to the shop here. And we zip tied it up so that momentum of the oil would stay down instead of being in this, because if this is hanging down all the time, then it does have oil in this solid all the way up. Doesn't make any sense to me, but Harley likes it that way. So just a little tip for you guys, I try not to cut zip ties because you can just use them over and over again instead of cutting these and buying new. What you just have to do is you just have to stick this inside, grab the little piece, open it up, and then just pull it out, and then you can reuse your zip ties. So that's a little tip and trick for you. Now on this particular Harley, it's got a bunch of different tubes. Some of them go to the engine, some come back from the engine as return, and this one is the drain. This one has four, 1, 2, 3, 4 on it. The fourth one is the drain tube, but just make sure that whichever tube is broken or leaking, you're replacing that one. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is your drain tube. If the feed tube is broke, then you got to change the feed tube. Doesn't mean you have to change them all. But if this is the first time changing any of these tubes that have gone rotten, I would definitely look at all the other ones, chase them all the way back, look at for any wet marks or wear marks. It's probably a good time to change them all around 10 years, just so you don't have any problem coming down the line. Now you see this one right here is connected to this, which is an OEM clamp. We're going to take the OEM clamp off right here and pull it down. But before we do that, we're going to make sure that we have some kind of an oil catch pan underneath. I'm using this old saucepan because it fits underneath the motorcycles where my big car catching can doesn't really fit. So instead of throwing this out, I'm recycling it to use it as a oil catch pan. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off loose now and then go ahead and drain it. Now right here, the last one, it's kind of hard to get in there. So I'm going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and just kind of rock it back and forth a little bit just so I can get it loose. It's already real loose. And then I'm just going to pinch in front of it and try to wiggle it off here. You got to watch all this chrome. You can't scratch any of this chrome. You can't cut the belt. You can't nick any of this stuff. You just got to be real easy. And then we're going to fish the tube out from the bottom. And then this nipple is plastic here. So if you squeeze too hard trying to get that off, you're going to break this. And then you're going to have to get a whole new holder tank for your oil. You don't want to do that. So make sure you go right in front of it. Just grab and move it a little bit. Grab in front about an inch and then wiggle it out. All right, another great tip is I slide the tube in where I think it's going to be, and I have the clamp on here on the tube. I push the tube up with my fingers, and then I kind of hold it in place. When I'm screwing this on, the thing is you want to screw it on so it's tight, but it's hard to know when it's over tight, which means this is rubber and this is plastic. If you over tighten it too much, you're going to crack the plastic, and then you're going to need a whole new filler tank. So what you want to do is you want to tighten this screw up until you see this little piece of metal look like it's starting to crunch in a little on the rubber. You don't want to go in. So if you tighten this up and then you see on the sides, okay, this is way in more, like the rubber's here, and then where you put it in, it makes an indent. You want to back it off a little bit so that it's flat. It has to be flat. You don't want the metal to start eating into the sides of the rubber because then it'll just crack right here or it'll crack the plastic. And once you have it, as long as you can't spin it with your finger like this, I'm trying to move it back and forth, I can't spin it with my finger, it's tight enough to be on there. Now we're going to go to the bottom, we're going to put the plug back in, we're going to put the O-ring back on that plug, and then I got one more thing for you underneath. I'm going to show you this little trick that I do with Harleys. It doesn't work on all Harleys, but on these Sportsters, it works every time. Now you're going to come down to the bottom and do the same thing. It was hard to get the camera down here and do this, so I have to show you afterward. Just stick the plug back up in the hose, put the clamp on, and only tighten it enough. You see that the metal is not like inside, it's not squeezing it too hard where there's a bubble of rubber on both sides. You just want it to be flat. It's flat and I can't move this. This won't turn. If I turn it, it turns the whole machine. you know. So now there's one last thing. A lot of people just let this hang down here like this. This is natural. But I have one last thing to show you. So underneath right here, see if we can see it here. There's two little holes right here, right? For the frame. I like to take this and bend it up just a little bit right here and stick it in that hole right there. And I stick it right in there, right? Doesn't do anything to the tube, but it locks it in place, and I know it's not dragging on the ground. Doesn't touch anything that's hot, and it just keeps that secure. And I know it's there every time. I know my plug didn't grab something, a tree branch or something, if I run over something, or whatever's on the road, debris, and it's up there and it's protected. So make sure you do that little trick as well. Now, the last thing you do after you do this is don't forget to put oil back in your bike. I know everyone gets so excited when they're done working on their bike. They want to hurry up and go take it out or turn it on to see if anything's dripping out. But remember, you had to take the oil out of the bike to change this drain tube. So make sure you put the proper oil in the bike that it calls for, and that you put the proper amount of volume in it as well. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn the bike on, let it idle for a few minutes, look at my work and make sure everything's good. And I'm probably going to take this bad boy for a little spin around the block. So if you like this kind of stuff, working on your bikes at home, dealership would probably charge you like $300 just to get in here and do this, because it takes about a half an hour, maybe an hour, because you have to drain all the oil, and then you got to buy oil, then they got to put it back on. So they're going to sell you an oil change with it as well. Might as well buy a filter, because you've just changed the oil. You're not going to put that oil back in. At least I hope you're not. So next video, if you need to know, we're going to do a full oil change. All right, have fun, ride safe.